Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, is the shipping supply problem fixed or is it getting worse? There's a little bit of mixed communication that you are seeing in the news over the last few days, and I want to talk about that here in a minute because while they're trying to tell us on one hand, well, we're kind of figured out what the problem is, and we kind of have an idea of how to fix it, and we think that the bad stuff is all in the past and it's just going to get better from here. And the other hand is a lot of things are happening that could very potentially make this port problem, port congestion, and whole supply chain problem way worse here in the United States and North America. And we'll get to that here in just a minute. Before I get started, just wanted to let you folks know, especially the local people, our next meeting is December the 12th. A lot of people were wanting to know if we were going to have meetings in the wintertime. I think it's a good idea, especially with everything that's going on, is just to keep happening, every month. And I understand a lot of people do holiday things before or after that, but December the 12th is the next meeting date. Same time, same place for those of you that's come before. And if you haven't attended and you would like to attend, shoot me an email and I will do my best to get all that information to you. For those of you on the subject of the email, because that's been a kind of a soft spot because I get so many and it becomes quite difficult for me to maintain keeping up with the emails. I'm trying some new tactics, some new things to keep a little bit better organized, like go into my email account and it's just this massive onslaught of questions and emails and stuff. And I really take it personal that I want to read and comment, respond to really every one of them. So I'm trying something new to create a little bit better organization and hopefully be able to stay on top of them a little bit better. And so far, it seems to be working. So please bear with me on that. Also, we talk a lot about prepping up on food and how important it is. And all the different ways that you can stock up on food. And one of those ways is purchasing long-term emergency freeze-dried food. This is the stuff that comes in cans and Mylar bags that's sealed up, and the stuff has a shelf life of 20-30 years. It is more expensive than other things that you can purchase, but it's something that you can store away, not have to worry about it, and it's very easy to have food. And while I don't think that should be your primary or certainly only source of food preps, it is a good idea to have some of it sitting around. And so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, one of the places you can get it is through preparewithtravis.com. I work with my Patriot Supply, and they're certainly one of the industry's top companies that are producing this stuff, one of the best prices per calorie. And even though all the slowdown and all the delays and stuff, so far they're still able to maintain a pretty good turnaround when you order. So preparewithtravis.com. There's a link down in the description below. All right, so there's things going on with all the supply chain and the port congestions and stuff. It's been going on for a while. It's just a continual uptick, and we've talked about this situation at length, but it is very important because it's one of those, I think, key components of just our entire system that when it comes crashing down, and I believe that the odds of the definite win are pretty high, it's going to be catastrophic. It is going to be catastrophic when it happens, and it's like a domino effect. I know some people say, well, not a super high percentage of our products even come from imports. Well, the point is once that, starts collapsing, the ripple effects across everything is going to be catastrophic. So, as many of you already know, they're having problems up in Canada. Another amazing YouTuber, which I always recommend people to go watch, is Ice Age Farmer. And a few days ago, he did a really good video on what's going on up in Vancouver in the Canadian ports. This port is the largest Canadian port. It is 5 times larger than the next largest port, basically, or the next 5 ports combined. It's larger than that. this is a major port for Canada and really for all of North America. As many as you know, even though United States and Canada are obviously two different countries, the trade between the two countries is very open, and so anything that seriously affects their supply chain is certainly going to affect ours. So here's the deal: they've had massive floodings. They've just had a really difficult year between droughts and extreme high temperatures and now flooding over on the west coast of Canada. And Vancouver sits right out there, and basically now they're cut off. The port has been shut down because there's no point in taking in more stuff because they're cut off. The rail lines and the highways are so badly damaged due to the flooding that they can't transport anything across the country, and this is really a catastrophic thing. They're saying they don't even have a clue of when they'll be able to repair the damages and get the roads and the rail lines open back up. I've seen estimates of 6 months to a year, but it certainly could be even longer. And even if it's just 6 months to a year, that's a long time in this kind of an industry. Now, I find it interesting that this happens right around the same time, a few days back, when we started seeing news reports out of the LA port, the one there in Long Beach, which has been the big problem. That's been the biggest problem. All the ports right now have at least a little bit of congestion. And when I say congestion, I mean there's a few ships off the port of most American ports right now kind of waiting. Maybe not a lot on every one of them, but just about every one of them has at least a few, which up until just a few years ago was pretty unusual to see. And so the Long Beach has been the big one. That's the one we've been talking about. 80 up to 100 and 120 ships at times are just sitting out there. Waiting to unload. And there's cargo containers all over the ports. We've reported how they're actually taking the cargo containers when they unload them and they don't have any room to set them, and they're going out in the neighborhoods, like residential areas around the port, and literally setting these containers in the streets in residential areas. And they've come up with all these brilliant ideas like, we're going to charge you $100 a day for every one of those containers that are just sitting there until you move them. I'm not sure how that's supposed to be such a big motivation, but anyways, the point is that a week or so ago, it started getting reported that they think they've got it figured out. They're starting to see some movement. Things are starting to kind of happen, and they think that they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, there's still a whole lot of ships, 80 plus ships setting off the port. But as far as the port itself, they're starting to figure out a method to the madness and how to kind of move these containers along so that they can start getting the ships unloaded. And guess what happens? Vancouver shuts down. One of the largest ports on the west coast of North America. There's not a whole lot of ports on the entire west coast of North America that can be used to unload these large cargo containers. So my simple hillbilly logic tells me that if there's only 4 or 5 large ports over there on the west coast, North America and Canada, and one of them, and that one being one of the largest, gets completely shut down, then all that traffic has to go somewhere, right? I mean, it has to go somewhere. That one port in Canada is what feeds the rest of Canada on its imports, mostly coming from, the Pacific, right? And so it's got to go somewhere. Well, I don't have proof of this, but to me, logically speaking, is that it's probably going to get rerouted through the ports over there on the west coast of the United States, which is just going to add more congestion. I can't speak, firmly on this, but this is just my simple logic. I mean, it's a big, long trip to go from where it would be up there in Canada, all the way down through the Panama Canal and all the way back up to Canada. That just seems completely illogical. So, are we going to see a new burst of of congestion, just when we finally figured it out, supposedly is what they're telling us. Oh, we kind of got it figured out. Here we go with another big problem. I liken this to, think of a dam that is it's just kind of bulging. I mean, it's holding back a maximum amount of water it can contain. And it's starting to crack, and there's cracks all over. And you go over there with a pickaxe and you start hammering on that dam. And little by little, you're taking chunks out of that dam, and you're taking chunks out of that dam, and you're taking chunks out of that dam. At some point, one of those chunks will be the final chunk before it all comes crashing down. Am I correct on that? I think that's what we're seeing with the supply chain. Over and over again, there are problems that may be minor, moderately, important, up to major importance, that are attacking the supply chain. It seems to me that the powers that be, the ones that try to rule them all, think that, obviously the supply chain's important because we're seeing all this stuff happen. Does that mean that they're have the capability of causing the weather that caused the flooding? Well, yeah, they do have that capability. I'm not saying that they did, though. Did they just take advantage of a situation? Who knows? I don't want to over speculate, but I do want to say that it just seems kind of odd that there's just constantly one more thing happening, one more thing happening, one more thing happening. I can't imagine that within just a few months' time, this is all just going to go away and be fixed. I understand it's a possibility. But it just seems to be constant barrage of problems and cracks and big old huge chunks being taken out of that dam that's holding up the supply chain. And here we are moving into winter months. We're moving into holidays and people coming home for a lot of people. People gathering, more things are being purchased, food items, and other items because of the season. And we're more problems. And then there's also the exports, and Ice Age Farmer goes into great depth into this, is that, China, not China, but Canada is a big wheat producer. And that particular port was one of the major ports that they used to export their wheat. And now that's not going to happen. And so that's going to be another hit. And wheat has already, the futures on wheat and the fact that the increased prices in fertilizer and various problems around the world. And here's one more knock to just that whole industry not being able to export a pretty large portion of wheat on a global stage. So here we go again with more problems. What do we do about it? We continue doing what we're doing. We continue preparing. The communications that I'm receiving from all of you, while maybe not everyone thinks or feels that they're doing a good job of preparing, the things that you're telling me tells a different story. Yes, I understand that we're living in kind of a high stress world right now. And a lot of people, the more and more all this stuff happens, the increased stress level and the increased level of fear that happens. But we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't look at all this stuff as more reasons to panic. Instead, it's more reasons to know that what we're doing is right, and know that we need to get ourselves even more prepared. And so when I talk about this kind of stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to go into a panic. You are working on getting yourselves prepared. You may not be in the place that you want to be. You may not be at the preparedness level that you want to be, but you're working towards that. And every time you do something and every moment that you push ahead on your preparedness, you are becoming more prepared. So don't give up. Don't look at all this stuff that's happening as just a reason to give up, that it's just too much. It's not too much. You can prevail. Humanity has experienced some horrible things in the past, and humans have prevailed against them. And you can too. So just keep getting ready, folks. This supply chain, I think it is one of the key problems. Will it crash first, or will the markets and financial economy systems crash first? Who knows? but it's definitely, I think, one of those straws that can break the camel's back when it comes to just, everything toppling down. So keep your eye on it, folks, because I think this whole Vancouver thing is gonna just exacerbate the whole port congestion and supply chain problems. I can't see how it couldn't. It's such a major player especially in North America, and it being shut down and causing massive congestion. I can't see any other way of it playing out other than causing a lot of problems. All right, folks, thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.